Ever since the clans returned, their bizarre and alien-like society has baffled the citizens of the Inner Sphere. It seemed impossible for people to have changed so much in only a few hundred years of separation. Rumors were rampant and were as numerous as the planets of the Inner Sphere, even as the details of the first exodus and eventual collapse of Alexander Kerensky's attempt to create a Star League in exile started to surface. The clans diligently kept their history to themselves, especially the history that showed them in a less than flattering light. Thankfully for the historians, the truth is hard to hide forever. Fall from Glory is the first book of the Founding of the Clans trilogy from Randall N. and it covers some very enlightening history from the point where Alexander Kerensky left the Inner Sphere for the final time, taking the Exodus SLDF fleet into the unknown in hope of escaping the carnage he knew was on the horizon following the Ameris Civil War. Now, it's important to note that this isn't just a story of the Exodus. It's also an exploration of the backgrounds of Nicholas and Andrei Kerensky. Their stories reflect the brutality of the Ameris Civil War, as well as a troubled family led by a patriarch who was rigid in his parenting to the point of neglect. For Nicholas Kerensky, his experiences in his childhood have left him cold and distant toward others. His devotion to his father and the success of the Exodus mission clearly rules his decision-making right up to the point where the grand experiment on the Pentagon worlds falls apart. However, most of this first book is devoted to Alexander's second son, Andrei. If Nicholas's reaction to the trauma was to become cold and distant, Andrei's was to dwell in self-doubt to the point that he could be manipulated. Andrei wants to do the right thing and to act independently from the family name and his father's expectations. Through the course of that first novel, Andrei suffers the consequences of events he only partially can control. He ends up being kind of a tragic figure. It's easy to empathize with the youngest child of a man considered a near deity by his followers. Add in a manipulative older brother, and one could be forgiven for thinking Andrei really didn't have much of a chance. Of course, some of Andrei's issues are of his own making, such as seeking the approval of others beyond his name and letting his friends peer pressure him pretty consistently. Now, putting away the family drama for a moment, Fall from Glory describes the dangerous trip deeper into the periphery well beyond explored space. However, faith in Kerensky's vision was not infinite. As the weeks and months passed, the strain on the SLDF and civilians on the ships reaches a breaking point. This is where we learn just how far Nicholas Kerensky will go to root out anyone who might endanger the mission. The hints as to the type of leader that Nicholas would become are plentiful as they are chilling, especially when he makes salient points concerning the nature of humanity to descend into barbarism. Both Andrei and the reader face an uphill battle to disprove the claims. Book 1 of the trilogy includes the very beginning of the fighting across the Pentagon worlds. To many, it seems as if the ground experiment of the Exodus fleet was a failure. War seems to have chased them into the periphery. The writing is solid, and Randall does an excellent job of weaving lore details into the story. If you're a fan of the clans, or just want to know why they ended up the way they are, the first book of the Founding of the Clans series is a great place to start. If you're a 3025 purist and think that the clans ruined BattleTech, I would maybe say you give this one a pass. If you have read Fall of Glory, I would love to get your input on it. Do you think it did a good job of representing the characters? Do you think it was true to the lore as we already knew it? Let me know in the comments below. That's it for this one, folks. Thanks a lot for coming by. Don't forget to hit all the buttons to make YouTube happy. Becoming a channel member provides a link to our Discord channel and knowledge that you're going above and beyond to keep making BattleTech content in the future. Take care, and go make the world a slightly better place today and tomorrow.